Thanks very much. Okay, so first of all, just want to make sure everybody is awake, etc. Can you tell me what this is? A light bulb. And this? Okay, fine. Don't forget that. I'll come back to it later. Right. I'm going to talk to you tonight about online marketing. And this is a model that we use to sort of make it easy to explain the steps we're going through. So I'm going to quite quickly go through the steps on this model and talk about what I'm going to think about, etc. The very first step, the most fundamental one, which doesn't mean people get it right, is keywords. So, first of all, I'm going to ask you that question. What is a keyword?
In the search engine looks for.
Okay, anything else?
What people type in the search engine.
Yeah, anything else?
An accurate description.
Okay, any other ideas?
Metadata.
Possibly, I guess it could be.
Subject.
Alright, okay, fine. I like this definition because it covers the two most critical points, which is that a keyword is something that you need to understand from the perspective of your customer. It's not about what you're selling, it's about what they're buying. It's about what's in their mind, not yours. And it's something that they believe is relevant to the information they're seeking. And the relevant thing is incredibly important because that's what all the search engines are concerned about. So to come back to this, it might interest you to know that if you work in the light bulb industry, that is not a light bulb, that is a lamp. And this is not a lamp, it's a light fitting. So you imagine if you decide you're going to go online, you're going to start selling light bulbs, and you think they're called lamps. And we actually had a customer, and this was the very first meeting we had, and I said about light bulbs. No, he said they're lamps. And I said, I don't buy lamps, I buy light bulbs. He said, do you? So he's never forgotten that. So he's still a customer 6 years later. And the trouble with working with the customer for that long is you get awfully into their business. And at our most recent meeting, I referred to lamps. He said, no, Jane, they're not lamps, they're light bulbs. You know that. I do know that, you're absolutely. But that's an absolute classic example. He didn't know. When he left university or school or whatever it was, he started working for Philips. He's worked in light bulbs and lamps all his life. Another really, really good example, is there anybody here who doesn't play golf? If you wanted to learn to play golf, what would you type into Google?
Golf lesson.
Golf lesson. Yes. Almost every golf club refers to it as golf tuition. And they put the details about it inside the pro shop section of the website, because everybody who plays golf knows it's the pro who gives lessons, tuition. So of course you go into the pro shop area to find out. Nobody who doesn't play golf can find it. So it's really, really important to understand the words and phrases that your customers are using to think about what they're buying rather than what you're selling, and that's why keywords are so fundamental. They are the starting point for absolutely everything you do in online marketing. There's a lot of talk now, because of the way Google's changed things over the last couple of years, that in terms of links, etc., Google is now more interested in the context, the buyer intent, where the link came from, and the keyword phrases in an actual link. But it is still true to say that you need to understand the words and phrases that your customers use to get your website found, to get your ad displayed and clicked on, and to get your visitors to stay on your website. It's the first step for that. And all of that when someone's looking for what it is that you're offering. So you have to know what they're looking for and what you want them to sell. There's lots and lots of ways of finding your keywords. You can ask Google, you can ask your customers. Brainstorming is a really good idea. Asking people in different industries what they would choose to, what they type in to find you can lead to some really big surprises. And there are other tools you can use. Google's keyword tool, Word Tracker is another one, WordStream, well, there's loads and loads of keyword tools there. They're all affected, or have been affected now, by the fact, you're probably aware of the fact that Google no longer passes keyword data through to analytics when you do a search. You used to be able to go into analytics and look and see what keywords people typed in. Google no longer passes that data across analytics. Are you aware of this? That's interesting. Right. It claims it's for security reasons. Nobody can understand that. But I'm sure somewhere down the line it's to make them money. It has had an impact on the tools like Word Tracker who used to get their data from that source. And now Google's about to do the same thing with data that comes from the paid search. So we get to see what that's going to do to all the keyword research tools. but it is interesting. But there are lots of places to find it. One of the really, really good ways to find keywords is to actually use AdWords as research and find out. You get people to pay and find out what they type in or come up in more detail. So you will be using your keywords in your website, in the copy, in the links. If you send out email shots and newsletters, the two things that cause people to open, major causes of opening, are what's in the subject line and who it's from. So what's in the subject line needs to contain relevant words and phrases so they will open it. Again, relevant to the person who's reading it, not relevant to you. So update from Fred Blogs Limited is not as likely to get an opening as how to help you do such and such, whatever it is you're trying, how to help you learn to play golf. You use it in social media, use it in online PR. Social media is interesting because a lot of people forget about that. That actually, you think about hashtags and things on Twitter. Those are keywords. And if you want to get your social media stuff noticed, use keywords in it. And you can run a paid search campaign. They really, really are the key to success online with all the changes. Right, just have a look at this. I'm going to show you a page from, it's actually just one page from an e-commerce site. And I just want you to see what on it you think is a keyword on there, what is missing, what you might want to, if you were going to look for this, what you might look for. So what do you think is a keyword on there? Single words are very rarely because keywords. Whenever we use the phrase keywords, we really mean phrases. And organic chocolate definitely is. I checked, people do type in organic chocolate. And I didn't even know what real chocolate was until I looked this up. Apparently people type better.
Buy.
Not the word buy on its own, but yes, buy raw chocolate, buy organic chocolate, that would be. But you wouldn't necessarily want to put that on your product page. You might bid on that in an AdWords campaign and say, if they type in buy raw chocolate, I know they're ready to buy, so I'm going to send them to this page because they'll probably buy it. Whereas if they say, what is raw chocolate, you might want to send them to a page about what raw chocolate is and send them ready to buy it. I have to say, I'm not a chocoholic, and one of my sisters is. I would have somewhere on there healthy chocolate because they're claiming it's healthy, and chocolate I can eat. How much people who like chocolate and don't want to put on weight worry about other chocolate after
Even flavonols. Flavonols. If somebody's thinking of healthy chocolate.
Yeah, but then you'd have to really know things to know what flavanol. What's the stuff? Actually, what's the other stuff it does? I can't remember. But yes.
But then again, one searches not all the time, but maybe when one is changing one's habits to look for a new kind of product, and people do periodically. I would be an example. Occasionally, I think I should eat healthier, and then I do type searches just like that.
Right, but then what you might be doing is research. You might not have decided you want to buy healthy raw chocolate. You might be doing research to find out what is healthy.
I might. The question is, do I become a repeat customer? That's much trickier. But I am looking to buy once.
But those keywords like that tend to be researcher type keywords. So if somebody typed in something like, is there a form of healthy chocolate? I would send them to a page that talked about chocolate, what it is and how it can be healthy. And at the end of that page, they say, if you're convinced by this, click through here to find out the chocolate to buy, that kind of thing. So you're dealing with the buying intent because keywords, the different phrases that people type in can tell you where they are in the buying cycle.
Wouldn't the part of the sentence where it says chocolate is healthy be picked up by it?
Probably would, yeah. But I would just be a bit more about it, healthy raw chocolate. Because we don't have to be good all the time, it's obviously giving that message to people who think, I like chocolate, but it's bad. That's obviously who they think they're targeting. I just felt that I would put some extra phrases that those kind of people might use. Some of the stuff I just spoke about there with the keywords on that page is all about this. It's optimization, commercial optimization or usability. How well does your website persuade visitors to do what you want them to do, and how easy is it for them to do what you want them to do? Because that's what matters. They're interested in meeting their own needs. They're not interested in your needs. We run AdWords campaigns for people. And it's not unusual to find someone who's running their own campaign is sending people to the homepage of their website. And the most useless homepage I remember seeing years ago was somebody who was selling printer cartridges, and they sent everyone to the homepage. And on the homepage, it was telling you how their grandfather had started this business in his basement. Well, I want to buy a printer cartridge. Probably the only thing I'm interested in is the price. Stuff about your grandfather's business in his basement. You're not actually telling me what I want to do, which is to buy a printer cartridge. So on every landing page, if it's an e-commerce site, the landing pages are likely to be actual individual product pages. Those are the ones that sell that. So if somebody has typed in, I want a GU9 light bulb, which is one of the ones that my client sells. I know that because I have a GU9 light bulb. You probably want to be sent to a page that lists the GU9 light bulbs, assuming there's more than one GU9. I can't remember there is actually. I think they're all the same. And so what you want to see on that page is these things. You're interested not in the features, not in what's about them, but benefits. How is this going to help me? What does it do for me? Taking the light bulb example, you might have typed in Philips GU9, and with light bulbs there are, in most cases, for most light bulbs, there are at least 5 manufacturers of the light bulbs, and each of the light bulbs has a different code number to know who manufactured it. But actually, the Philips GU9 is identical to the Osram. I don't even know what Osram one is, I have no idea. But the point is, so what they might be saying to you is telling you about the benefit of this one is that it's exactly the same, but it's cheaper, for example. And on this guy's website, he does have a lot of situations where he says, if you've looked for this, this is the same as all these other ones, because he doesn't stock all of them, he stocks the best. Audience clarity, sometimes that's implied, and sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it needs to be stated. If you are a physiotherapist and you offer services to pregnant mothers, pregnant women, and elderly people with arthritis, you want to be sure that you're sending people to the right page. You want to be sure that they're yes, this is for me, this is who I am. I have got problems with my joints and therefore this is right for me. But sometimes it's obvious. I mean, light bulbs, it's probably, not really difficult to guess whoever's on that page wants to buy a light bulb. What makes you special? Maybe it's because you do overnight delivery, maybe it's because of the kind of packaging, maybe it's because you absolutely guarantee your light bulbs will arrive without breakage, and if not, they'll be replaced free of charge. And then calls to action. It is astonishing how many website pages don't say, do this next. And on a website, you have to tell people what to do. You really, really do. And particularly when you're buying online, credibility, trust. Do I see the do I see the secure server sign? Do I see the little padlocks? Do I know that this is safe? Do I know what your returns policy is? Do you have a phone number so I know you really exist? Things like that to make sure that I trust you before I give you my credit card number or give you some money. Well, those things really should be on every page that you're using a landing page. These things don't necessarily have to be on every page. You need something on there that says what you're about. So even though people don't want to come to that page first of all, and even though with light bulbs they probably don't care who you are, is that you're cheaper than someone else, but if you're buying a camera or a computer, once they've looked and they've found, yep, this product meets my needs, the price is good, they might want to go and find out a bit more about you before they actually commit to spending money with you. So something that talks about you needs to be on your website. User experience, testimonials, case studies, absolutely vital. Those can appear on every page. If they do, it's better that they are specific. So if you sell free services, then it would be really useful to have a testimonial about one particular service on the page that that service is on. But 75% of people, according to the research, will go and do research and look at testimonials from other users before they'll commit to buying something, to see if it's got any significant price to it. Again, I'm going to show you, I hope I'm going to show you this. So that same page again, do you see calls to action on that page? At the passport. Yeah. I think the thing with an e-commerce site is calls to action are a bit simpler than say non-e-commerce site. What about benefits? Do you see any benefits to you on this page? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've got some of the things on there. They've talked about the benefits, why this is all right for you, and they've given you a clear call to action. When you actually see the real page, it's probably even clearer because I've probably cut the bottom off a little bit there. But that's the kind of thing that we often find when we go and look at sites. Even on e-commerce sites, the add to basket button, you can hardly see it. It's pale grey or something like that. One of the worst ones we saw was a client whose checkout process, he was selling spare parts for HGVs, and at the end of the checkout process, you'd finished, or it appeared you had, there was another little button further down the page that said confirm. Yeah. That's all it said. And people didn't used to see it, they didn't click it. 2 days later, they'd be ringing the company saying, why hasn't my order been confirmed? It's because they didn't know, they hadn't actually completed the order. And by moving that button up the page and making it a brighter colour, it sort of increases conversion rate several hundred times. I don't know how many people he resent products out to because he genuinely thought they'd forgotten to deliver them. So I don't know how much money it costs them sending things out that haven't actually been forgotten, they just haven't been ordered. Another way to bring people to your website is advertising, paid advertising. Google text ads, you'll see them above natural search listings, you'll see them to the right of the natural search listings, and increasingly now below the natural search listings. You can also see image ads on other people's websites, and I'll come on to those in a bit more detail. This is a client of ours. This is what the ad looks like here, so it's above the listings. Just these here, I'll come back to these. These are what are called ad extensions, which are increasingly important now. So that's what you'll see. You'll see the search results page, and above it and to the right, you'll see ads. There are none to the right here. It's quite amazing. It's something that's, you think coal, you know, some people don't use single words. This is one of the exceptions that proves the rule. This is the best converting keyword for the coal merchant. Now, I have a theory about this because 5 years ago, light bulb was the best converting keyword for our light bulb man. I think it's, and now it isn't at all, now it's more specific. I think now people are more used to buying light bulbs online, and I think with coal it's still relatively new buying it online, so they type in coal. But as they get more and more familiar with it, they'll start typing in thermostat doubles and things like that.
Is the exact keyword that important for Google though? Because Google has a thesaurus and all that, isn't it? So they have equivalent words. Is it true?
Yes, very, very much. And the reason it matters is because the way that, it's a bunch of computer machines, the way that Google determines where your ad appears when you do advertising like this, I mean, it's an auction, you're bidding, and you bid the maximum you're willing to pay for a click on your ad. But the way that Google determines whose ad shows highest is by checking the connection between the keyword that you bid on, the word or phrase that your client types in, the similarity to the words that are in the ad copy, how that matches what's on the website page you send them to, and how that relates to what else is on the website. And Google uses that, and it has a bunch of complicated algorithms working that out. And that gives you what's called a quality score. And to determine where your ad is displayed, it multiplies your quality score by your bid price to give you a rank. So if you have a quality score of 10, which is the highest quality score, and your bid price is lower than somebody whose quality score is only 2, even though your bid price is low, your ad may show higher. And increasingly, these ad extensions here, these are called link extensions because they're linked to different pages on the website, are now part of that quality score equation. So if you don't use the ad extensions, you don't get as good a quality score as you would do. So yeah, it does matter. You're absolutely right. Google can translate. Google is really, really good at working out what all these things mean. And that's why, with all the changes they've made to the algorithms for search, so they are now much, much more concerned about the quality and relevance of the links to you than they are about the actual words and phrases. And that's because they know that coal and thermostat doubles and anthracite and stuff is unrelated. So they can tell that, you may bid on coal or you optimise a page for coal, but the fact that you've got other pages for anthracite is still relevant. But nevertheless, it is a set of algorithms that go through this, so they do really matter for others.
Does that mean that add-ons are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger?
Well, they already are, aren't they, to some extent? I mean, I didn't actually put up a slide showing me one other thing. I might do that later. I've got one slide for another one of our clients that shows their ads across the top, or right at the top. Then they've got the image ads, so they've got images themselves, and 3 of those are his. And then underneath, they also appear in the natural listings. And yeah, you write down there before you get to the natural listings. You've got half a page full of paid stuff before you come to the natural listings. So yes, they are taking up more space. And that's how Google makes the money. So why would you use Google AdWords? Because most of what I said, it applies equally to Bing, PPC as well. But Google is still the most popular search engine in the UK. And if you count google.com as well as google.co.uk, more than 90% of the searches in the UK are done through Google. Google AdWords is incredibly fast implementation. Once you put your campaign together, you can do it live within 20 minutes of clicking the go button. So if you want to test something, you can test it really fast. If you've got a special offer, if you suddenly managed to buy, as a guy I met last year did, a container load of garden watering bits and pieces, and you just want to sell them really quickly. You can't wait to build a website, so you can't wait to optimise your website and get it up the natural listings. You'll advertise it and then you'll get it out there much quicker. It's very, very targeted because you select the search terms that you use to trigger your ads. And you can also select the searches that you want your ads not to show for. So I'll give you an example. We used to do advertising for a guy who sold barcode label printers. The most popular make of barcode label printers is, I've forgotten the name. It's the same as the name of a make of watches. So we used to have to put wristwatch, gentleman's watch, ladies' watch as negative keywords, so that his ad wouldn't show for anybody typing those things in. And you will see some, I don't know if I've got one there. What was it we typed in? For somebody we typed in, I think it was houses in Didcot. Or something like that. No, we typed in dog kennels, that was it, and what came up was houses in Didcot. Somebody who was bidding on houses in Didcot hadn't made dog houses a negative in their campaign. So they were getting shown, and because part of this equation for your quality score is your click-through rate, if your ad is shown and not clicked, your click-through rate goes down, your quality score goes down, your price goes up. So, very, very important. You're completely in control of how much you spend. You can set budgets daily, monthly. You can set different price levels for mobile and non-mobile, for different geographic areas, for times of day. You can stop the campaign immediately. It doesn't take 20 minutes to stop it. So you are totally in control of how much you spend and modifying it and measuring it. And,
Just ask you a question, because I recently did that with my website, and wasn't really in control of what I was spending, actually. I didn't set it up.
We do have to monitor it.
Yeah, well, it was more complicated than I expected, so it was, I was going through more money than I was expecting. So I got in touch with a company who, will do a campaign for you. And I found it actually, for them to set it up, wasn't so much, but then they offered to maintain it on a monthly basis and report back to me. That became quite expensive all the time. So my question is, if I just paid them, or if I paid someone to get it right first time, is there much value in paying them on a monthly basis after that?
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, the problem is, and I'm guessing if you found it expensive, you haven't got a big budget, you're not spending thousands a month, and that is the problem. I mean, we have that issue. People come to us and say, I've got a budget of £100 a month, and well, sorry, we can't do anything worthwhile. The analogy I would use is that a Google Ad campaign, getting it to work well, is a bit like getting fit, going to the gym. You do an awful lot of work up front, setting the campaign up to get yourself really fit. Yeah. And if you never go to the gym again, for a few months you'll stay fit, and gradually taper off. And that's exactly what happens with AdWords. We see it when people have done that. You can see the performance does this, and then it just starts tailing off. Right. All sorts of reasons. Extra negative keywords that you could add to a campaign you haven't, because that's one of the things that should be there every month. And on a brand new campaign, you should be doing it every week to start with. Yeah. Checking and adding negative keywords. Competition will learn from what you've done and change it. Seasonal variations. The coal is a great example. It isn't just that more people buy coal in the winter. If the temperature today goes down, more coal will be sold today. If there's a forecast there's going to be a blizzard tomorrow, more coal will be sold today. With the light bulbs, this time of year, your sales start going down. It's light, everybody's outside. Last year, May was very wet and very rainy, and his sales didn't go down because it was dark. Because it was darker, people turned the lights on more, and the light bulbs blew more. So you can't just let a campaign run, and some of them will have more business and variation than others. Yeah. So you would get a very, very useful job done by having a campaign set up for you and then letting it run. Right. But it would be worth your while understanding how to do a bit of it. And there's ways around that. I don't know if the people you spoke to offer it, but one of the things we do for small businesses, having set a campaign up, is we spend an hour on the phone with them every month. And then we just do that, and that's what we do.
Which is, I think that's what I need really, is to get it set up once. And then,
because this is the problem, I charge my guys out at £75 an hour. Yeah. You can't do anything in less than a couple of hours. And even in a couple of hours, it'll take us half an hour to write a report at the end of the month. Yeah. You just can't, realistically do a good job for a really, really small business. And so teaching them to do it themselves is actually more useful. But it is complicated.
Yeah.
In my opinion, AdWords is more complicated than any other aspect of it. I mean, I showed you those link extensions. You can get telephone call extensions to mobiles. You can get link extensions through to Google Places. You can get link extensions through to reviews. You can get app extensions if you're selling apps and other stuff like that. And all of these all have to be managed. I said that you can also see your ads on other people's websites. I don't know if any of you have experienced the stalking of the internet. You go onto a website, look at something, for the next week or so, every website you go onto seems to... That's remarketing done really badly. Worst case is Littlewoods. That's how I would never go on Littlewoods site. And I looked for television there last year, and for 30 days I probably saw 20 Littlewoods ads every single day for television. And that's really badly done. But doing it well is really, really good. And then you probably notice when you buy products, the visual ad, the image ads, those are called product listing ads. Go back to change the name to shopping campaigns. Those are incredibly useful. I mean, I don't know what you're saying, but if it's products like that, product listing ads are one of the best things you can do. Everybody who's doing product listing ads at the moment gets a better ROI than those who are on the rest of their AdWords campaign. May not stay like that forever, as more and more and more people take it on. But product listing ads are well worth doing. So as I say, AdWords is complicated. There's tons and tons of different things you can do. But what do you use it for? It's a fantastic research tool. I've developed a new product. I don't really know whether people want to buy it, or I don't know what they call it. Your comment about Google having all this wonderful thesaurus. So you say the word I use is lamps, but I don't really know what words other people use. I'm going to bid on lamps. Google will soon tell me if actually what people are typing in is light bulbs. So I can learn, A, whether there's any demand for my new product, and B, what words people really use. And I can start off wasting a lot of money because I'll get it so wrong, my quality score will be appalling, but I'll learn, and then I can build myself a decent campaign.
Does the research cost you with Google?
Well, it costs, yeah, you pay for it, but it depends. How much it costs you depends on what the volumes are and what you do. I mean, a woman I know wrote a book about setting up e-commerce businesses, and she couldn't decide whether to call it e-commerce masterclass or e-commerce something else. So she ran an AdWords campaign using the two phrases, just for 2 or 3 days. And she got enough data, cost her about 50 quid, she got enough data to know what to call the book.
So, if clients come to you and they say, I've only got £100 a month, and you go, you've got no chance of using AdWords, so there are other tools that are effectively out there for free that you can use to do the similar thing?
To do the research, you mean?
To get your AdWords sorted and keywords. Or is this really the...
If you're talking about wanting to run an AdWords campaign to sell things...
I'm on about bringing traffic to the website.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned there was other tools. This is one you're focusing on. This obviously costs money, so I'm just wondering what those guys that only had £100 a month ended up doing in the end.
They use AdWords, but they perhaps did it themselves.
Right.
Or, as I say, in the case of, we've got several clients now who come to us for either an hour a month or an hour every quarter, or they come on a training course and then they come back when they need some more help, because they can't justify paying our sort of monthly fees to manage it. It's a problem. It's tough because in theory it's such a simple tool to get into and set up. It's such a simple tool to set up badly and to spend lots of money. Google doesn't care because you're spending money. So no, and the whole business about search engine optimization and getting your website found naturally takes a long time. It's not easy. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people used to do. If I built a website, everybody will just come to it. It would be easy. You can use it because you can direct traffic to your website quickly. You can use it to check whether your website is working. So you think you've built a beautiful page that works well. You can send traffic to it and find out if it really does work well. And naturally, you can use it for selling things, which is what it was originally designed for. So yeah, the other way of getting people to your website is natural search. And the way of dealing with that is search engine optimization. Now there's 3 components to that: relevance, reputation and visibility, and I'll touch on all of the visibility probably last than others. This is one of the areas that has changed, so because of the changes that Google has made. The relevance is still fairly straightforward. It feeds back into what I was talking about right at the beginning about keywords. It's about good content, lots of it, regularly updated, so your website isn't static, and relevant, which means keyword rich, and using the terms and words that your customers will be using. And that's what you can do to make a page relevant. And there's lots of individual guidelines. There's what's called a title tag, a description tag, heading tags which have to be filled with certain things. And that's all fairly straightforward. It doesn't really change that much. But when you go on to reputation, let me just touch on this here. One way of looking at it is relevance, is the overlap between what you want to say and what they're interested in, what they're interested in talking about and hearing about. And the larger the overlap, the happier your potential customers will be, the more likely they will be to become customers and give you rewards of cash, which is what is meant to be. So it is important for that. But reputation is where it's really, really changed. Because 2 years ago, I would have just said reputation is straightforward, simply about creating links. It's about all of the inbound links into your website. Keyword-rich inbound links and social signals. Now we can sort that around. What Google has now said is, well, to be fair, Google hasn't changed what it's always said. The issue is that now Google is capable of policing what it's always said better than it could 2 or 3 years ago. It's changed the algorithm. It's much, much more concerned about the relevance and the quality of the links to your website. So it's looking much more at not what are the keywords in your links, but where did those links come from? Were the pages that they came from relevant and related to your website? And what you can see when you look at some people's websites is that they have damaged themselves. They've spent several years doing those kind of SEO tactics which were never pure white. They managed to be black, but they were dirty grey. And worst case, Google says, you've got a whole ton of links here that are never you bought or spamming or whatever. I'm actually going to penalise you. And you'll see, and we've looked at customers and people who've come to us about it, and you can see the traffic. Their website takes a nosedive, and you can check, and you can see it was just after a couple of the Pandora Penguin updates that Google did. Best case, it doesn't give you any penalty, but you'll see your traffic just gradually dropping off as each one of these new algorithm updates comes in, and it's catching more and more of what Google regarded as less than perfect quality links. And so your traffic just gradually tails off. So what you now have to do, you still have all that fantastic content that I was talking about before. You have to know what to do with it. It's no good just putting it on your website. You've got to get into sharing it and spreading it around. The horrible buzzword that people use is amplification. So you produce your content and then you need to amplify it. So that literally is publishing it, sharing it, ensuring that people are involved in it and sharing it. That gives you your social signals, it gives you your inbound links from other sites that are genuine and natural, and Google likes all of that. There are loads of businesses around who always did that, never did anything Black Hat, and they are completely oblivious to all the changes that Google made to the algorithm because it hasn't affected their sites at all, because they've always been doing the right thing. But everybody who did the wrong thing has now got to play catch up. So, it has become more difficult, but you've got to do it properly, and a lot of people are finding that quite hard. And there are still a lot of SEO companies out there who simply offer to do the same thing. So you've still got the fact that your website is at the centre. That's where you want to send people to get them to do things. But I put directories on there because they're still valuable, because directories can send people to you. But they're not so likely to be considered valuable by Google, straightforward directories, because they're just boring links. They won't do you any harm if they're genuine, valid directories. But you also get the spammy directories, so anything spammy needs to be avoided. Good website content, blogs, YouTube videos, engaging on social media, making sure you publicise your own content on social media, and engaging, i.e. having conversations. Online PR can still be valid, and again linked with offline PR. But everything sort of surrounding, building up to your website. It's all the same stuff as I've always said, but now Google really means it. And so some people find that quite hard to do.
Do other browsers do the same?
Yes. Yeah, and I keep talking about Google. Fundamentally, even if the others didn't do it, once Google starts doing it, the others tend to follow suit. So Bing is doing exactly the same thing. There may be a few changes, they may be a bit behind it.
Yahoo was all
Well, Yahoo doesn't really exist anymore. So, but given 90% of the traffic in the UK comes from Google, that's the one you've got to worry about. And anything you do to work for Google won't do you any harm with Bing or Baidu in China, or I can't remember what the one in the Middle East is called. So doing it, because as I say, all Google is telling you to do is what it's always told you to do. It's simply that now it knows how to police it better. The visibility bit is a lot more sort of the internal stuff. It's making sure that your navigation is structured. and logical. Making sure that you're using words, whether it's in your navigation points or on your website, rather than images. Google is better than it was, but fundamentally it doesn't read pictures, it reads words, so you need to use words. You've got sitemaps, that you're using all the necessary sort of schema markup, that your HTML is structured properly, and things like that. It's all the nuts and bolts inside, which I don't know so much about, I just know you need to have it done right. And that's so that you've got the right content, it's there, but Google can find it. It's not just a question of its being there, it's you've done things in a way so that Google can read it and get into it, and its spiders will understand it. Once you start getting people to your website, you need to build a list. And this is valid whether you are selling products or whether you're generating leads for a long-term, long sales cycle idea. Because if you're selling, I mentioned something earlier, one of our clients sells 3D CAD software and they sell virtualization stuff and all sorts of other stuff. And they've got a long sales cycle. So for them, they're wanting to encourage people to come onto their website and download a free trial of the software. In return, they've collected their identification, they've got their email address, they can stay in touch. So they can build a relationship with them and hopefully over a period of several months turn them into customers. If you are selling products online, if it's a consumable, one of the clients that we worked with a couple of years ago sold over-the-counter medicines, including allied weight loss pills. And they used to sell 3 months' supplies of that. So for them, the obvious thing to do was to send an email out after 2.5 months and say, are you ready to buy some more? So you've got the repeat sales. So you need to be building that list and staying in touch with them, whatever it is you do. Now, if you're doing lead generation, you're wanting to offer them something valuable in exchange for the contact details. If you're selling things to them, then you've sold stuff to them and you've got the contact details. And you need to be working out, can I upsell them anything? Or is it a repeat purchase that I can go back to them about? Or can I do a special offer for them if they recommend somebody else? Anything like that. And you always need to remember to seek permission before sending emails. In principle, when you complete your details for purchasing something from online, you've effectively given permission for them to get in touch with you. So they are certainly allowed to send you at least one more email. Those emails must have an unsubscribe facility on them so that you can get rid of them and stop them coming in. But by definition, by having filled in the form and giving you the email, you've effectively given them permission.
Well, why do you say must? Because people get angry?
No, it's just a legal requirement.
It is in all countries now?
Oh, I have no idea. Because you're
So in Europe it's required.
and in the US it will be as well, yes. Don't know about other places.
Well, what can you do if there is no unsubscribe? Because I get one too where there is no unsubscribe.
It's probably spam, isn't it? And there's a limit to what you can do. You can report to them to whatever the body is, because there is a body in this country that deals with spam. They'll probably say, really sorry, this is one of the regulars, because there's a lot of spam, and that is one of the ways of telling it.
Someone says come in every week, every 2 days, just I'll stop them coming in.
No, I think the worst ones are the ones like some of the respectable ones, like O2, who keep sending me emails, and something doesn't work. And when you click on the unsubscribe link, it takes you to a page that my browser thinks is unsafe, and it won't let me get to the page, so I can't unsubscribe. So I keep sending them rude emails saying, don't send me anymore, and they still do. So yeah, there are authorities that deal with spam, and you can send them to those, but I wouldn't sort of hold that much weight. There's a big problem with spam.
You just using Microsoft Outlook, you can just tell Microsoft Outlook you don't get emails from there anymore.
You can, and you'd think that works, but they obviously do something where they're sending something slightly different every time. Because there's stuff that I do like that, and you keep on saying block this one, and another one that looks identical comes through. I think they've just changed some caps like character looks from or something like that. It is a problem. You can increase the strength of your filters as well, so you get more knocked into the spam box, but then you have to start checking it on. It's a horrible problem. So, how do you stay in touch? Email newsletters. If you are offering a service which is, as I say, something that is a service, it's a long sales cycle, then maybe you can be sending out informational newsletters. That's what we do with our newsletters. We send out, the reason we're about to send out is about choosing an email marketing system, because we've just been going through looking at them. We think it would be useful for people who want to understand that. Other people, if the guy we used to work for who did HGV spare parts, sent out 2 mail shots a week, and they were just sales mail shots. They were offering special offers to what product was being featured this week, and they worked really, really well, because it was a sales website, that's what people expected, and he sold quite a lot from those. Autoresponders. Anybody use autoresponders? Are you familiar with what I mean by autoresponders? Autoresponders are really, really powerful. They are literally automatic emails. So let's say that you have a particular page and someone downloads this, and you know that people who download this tend to be interested in this set of things, and if they buy, it tends to take them 6 months to buy. So you just want to stay in touch. So you set up a whole string of emails that automatically go out to the person who signed up to this after a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that kind of thing. And then if somebody downloaded a different thing, you might have a different set of autoresponders. So you can set up a set of emails just once, and you can set them up geared around the action that someone took, and or even what, for example, not just that they downloaded something, you could set up an autoresponder based on somebody having clicked on a particular link in one of the emails you do send out, and then you can set up this string of emails that go out automatically. Very, very powerful tool in online marketing. Loads of people don't do it at all, and loads of people don't do it well, but it's very, very powerful. So that's all about staying in touch. And then one of these things that is incredibly important is measuring what you've done. It is our experience that this so often doesn't get done properly. Google Analytics will let you measure everything. Google Analytics can be completely linked with your AdWords campaign if you're running AdWords. And you can even set up full e-commerce tracking so that within Analytics you can track down to the level of the products that were sold, the values of your orders, you can work out how much it costs you to sell everything. So you really, really can know whether something is profitable. So, for example, we helped one guy with his campaign, who's a locksmith, take it over, and he tells us that I'm selling this much from AdWords, and my average order cost, it's costing me £10 per order, and that's far too high because my average order value is only £13 and my margins are low. So we sat down and worked it out, and we discovered it was actually costing him £40 for each sale he made, because he had no idea how many of his sales were coming from AdWords and how many were coming from somewhere else. We managed to get his cost down to £5 a sale, but we couldn't get it any lower than that because that was a huge change that we made anyway. So and he is not uncommon. Another one we just completed a 3-month trial for, and they're making changes to their website now. He told us that it was costing him on average £40 a sale. His average sale was £100, his margin was 40%, therefore he was just about breaking even with AdWords. When we actually put full tracking in place, we discovered it was costing him £70 a sale. We got it down to 35 after 3 months, but we were limited by what we could do after that because the website needed something to do with it, and that's what they're doing now. And that was because they hadn't set up tracking. They had no idea. They weren't measuring anything. They didn't know how to measure. They didn't know what to measure. So if you don't measure, you will have no idea.
Is this in Google Webmaster thing?
There's a whole load of tools that you can use for checking things. But Google Analytics is the tool that enables you to go in and say, Google Analytics monitors all the traffic that comes into your website. It tells you where it came from, so you can tell whether it came from natural search, somebody typed in your website name, AdWords, an email shot that you sent out, referrals maybe from other sites, whether it came from Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or anything like that. You can tell all of that stuff. And until last year, if it was natural search, you could tell what keyword the person had typed in. You can't tell that now. But as I say, if you're running an e-commerce system, you can set up what's called e-commerce tracking, and it will actually enable you to be monitoring, whether, for example, 90% of my sales of this product came from traffic from this source, or I make more money on my sales between midnight and 3 in the morning than I do at any other time of the day, or Mondays to Tuesdays and Saturdays and Sundays. You can find all of that out, but the trouble with analytics is it's got so much in it that it can just be really, really complicated and confusing. Because AdWords and Analytics are both building tools, you can say to Analytics and AdWords, please link yourselves, and then everything from AdWords gets translated into Analytics, and you can do it the other way around as well. So that inside Analytics, you don't have to go back to AdWords to look at the AdWords traffic. You can go in there and look at it by campaign, by ad group, etc. within Analytics. And it's that we usually find people haven't done. They haven't linked AdWords to Analytics. Some people will have, if you have a form on your website that somebody fills in to send an email, and there's a thank you for an email page, you can set that up as what's called a goal in Analytics. So anybody who reaches the thank you for sending an email page, by definition must have sent you an email, so Analytics will tell you have 15 goals completed this month. If you don't set it up as a goal, you can't track that. But the other thing that a lot of people do, rather than having an email form, you can just click a link that's click here to send an email. And Google can't track that the same way, but you can shove a bit of code on that button, which is called event tracking. And generally speaking, when we take over an account for campaign for someone, this is the first lot of stuff we have to do. You know, link analytics to analytics, set up e-commerce tracking, put event tracking in place, set up goals, and then say to them, right, now we can actually find out whether you make any money from this, because prior to that, they don't know.
And this is kind of within the Google sphere, if you like.
Yeah,
So it's more difficult to do it across engines.
There are lots and lots of pieces of software out there which will enable you to do that. Not necessarily across all of your traffic sources, but for example, if you specialise in paid search, there are several tools out there that enable you to manage paid search on Bing, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and manage all of that through one interface. So you can actually do a costing across all of those platforms and say, this is how much my advertising costs me, or I make more profit on my Facebook advertising than I do on my Bing advertising, or something like that. But most of those, in my experience, and we trialled one of them and decided not to stick with it in the end, they will do that for AdWords, but if you want to look at everything else as well, you can get tools like that, but you probably pay thousands and thousands a month. That's the thing. For small businesses, it's quite tough to find really, really good reporting tools like that. Somebody who could do something amazing with Excel, like we were talking about before, could do that, because they've all got APIs, so you can get the data out of all of these systems and do it yourself, which is all these software developers have done. But yeah, you can find out an awful lot. It's just, there is so much in there, it's almost mind-boggling. But the problem is, I say, a lot of people, when they start, they don't actually know how they're doing. So we always say, well, just start. And if you're not sure, just set a baseline. I was going through stuff with one of my partners today who's trying to put some pricing together for somebody. And we established he can't, because he has no idea, and neither does the customer, how much profit he makes per lead, how much profit he makes per order, or anything. So we can say, right, well, we know you do this bit, and we know how much that costs, but we can't tell you how much work we should do for you, or how much you're going to have to pay us to do that work, because we don't know how much profit you make. So we sat down and started doing some guesswork and saying, well, if we assume this, this, and this, then you probably make this much profit. And so you need to do something like that. If you really don't know, you need to make some guesses to start with, and then start measuring it, modify what you're doing, testing everything, so that you can actually get a picture together. I'm always amazed by how many people don't measure what they're doing. And the big advantage of marketing online is you can measure absolutely everything, and you should be doing it. It's much, much more controllable than traditional marketing, because you know what works and what doesn't work, only if you measure it. If you are marketing online, this is just another way of doing the diagram I put at the front. You start off with your strategy. Who are you selling to? What are they buying? When do they buy it? How do they buy it? Why do they buy it? You need to understand the words and phrases they use when they're searching for what you want to sell them. You need to build usability, and ideally from the start. You can always go back to a website and change it, but it's much easier if you actually do it from the start. We recently helped one of our clients, he's actually a taxi company, sort of the largest, what do you call it, executive taxi company in the Thames Valley. And the time we've been working with him, he's now on his third website. This time, we actually sat down with him. We didn't design it, but we sat down and structured it for him. We sat down and worked out what the paths would be through the website that people would take to actually get to signing up as an executive customer. And the net result of that is his new website converts at twice the rate of his old website. So twice as many of the people who come to the website are now becoming customers, because the website works well. Optimising your website so it's really, really relevant. The visibility, I say that it's a bit technical, but it's making sure that people can find it. Communication, which, as I say, a lot of people don't do any of. I mean, the company I mentioned to you that sells over-the-counter medicines wasn't doing what I said they should be doing. They weren't sending emails out to people saying, you're in the last half month of your 3-month list of products, would you like some more? They weren't doing that. And they would have made so many more sales. They would have increased their average lifetime value of the customer, and therefore what they could afford to pay to get a new customer if they'd done that. The reputation is now really, really important. It's about building the connections, building the citations, building the approvals of yourself. Advertising, measuring, and then when you've done all of that, start again. It never ends. You can get a good campaign in place, but you will never get a perfect campaign in place. You can always, yes.
I think it's time to say thanks very much, Joe, for a very interesting